So I've been driving with my Navdy for about 2 weeks now. I believe I'm in a much better position to give you an honest insight as to what Navdy has to offer, both in terms of hardware and software, and whether spending $800 is a good idea on this gadget. And if there are any alternatives, what are they, and how do they compare to Navdy? So comparing Navdy to itself doesn't make much sense, but unfortunately, to begin with, that's what I need to do, because right now, as it stands, there are no other manufacturers in production producing a similar gadget. You do get some heads-up display with some high-end cars, but this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a standalone gadget here. So in this video, I will cover what do you get with Navdy, how good is Navdy, and is it worth spending $800 to get hold of one of these gadgets? And as I mentioned earlier, what alternative do you have, and how do the alternatives compare to Navdy? So first off, Navdy right out of the box feels very good. They haven't used any cheap material. Once you pull it out of the box, you get the sense that this is high-end material, very nicely packaged. There are some videos unboxing, so I'm not going to go through the unboxing piece. All this is to say that it seems like a pretty good piece of hardware. But when it comes to software, I can tell you it leaves a lot to be desired, folks. It comes with some very basic functionalities. I'm going to zoom in, take you through right now. I'm set up on a dashboard, so I'm gonna change that using my hand control right here, and go back to the GPS. So there's a built-in GPS, so now you're looking at the map. That's basically what you'll be using 90% of the time. GPS. You control your GPS using your cell phone. Hardware wise, Navdy does not have a built-in speaker, so you have to enter your destination using your cell phone, using Navdy app, and then you get the instructions again coming out from your cell phone, your smartphone speakers, unless your cell phone is also connected to your car stereo. That's the volume you're getting, whatever volume you get out of your cell phone. So the interesting feature that we've been sold on is the gesture feature. I'm going to tell you how that works. So I just send myself a text. I have three options. I can reply to it, I can read it, or I can do more. So I'm gonna reply to it. When I reply to it, I have three options: call, quick, or back. I don't want to call myself, so I want to see what quick options do I have. The only option I have is basically a message saying, I am driving with my Navdy, can I call you back later? There is no microphone that can take your speech and convert that into text and send a customized response. So I'm gonna just pick this response and I'm good. So this is the map. You see the GPS. There is a built-in GPS. As I said, you have to enter instructions using your cell phone Navdy app. That's a separate video altogether. Here I'm going to focus on what you get in hardware. So I have intentionally parked the car in this direction so you can see some elements out there. So it's raining, there's some snow melting, and there's a gray to black asphalt road ahead of me. So you can see it's a pretty good it's pretty bright map, you see, and I've tested it in various weather conditions, night, day, snow, ice, and it pretty much can serve its purpose in any extreme weather condition. So if you're looking for GPS, which instead of being attached to your windshield is actually sitting on your dash, this is it. Now, in the Navdy video, they talk about this map that you see kind of hovering 16 to 20 feet ahead of you. And the idea behind the concept was that you don't need to take your eyes off the road. You can keep your eyes on the road and still be able to see where you're heading and see the messages and stuff. In reality, folks, I can tell you, at best, this map hovers maybe 6 inches behind this Navdy screen, at best 6 to 8 inches, not more than that. So that's pretty much where you will see your map, 6 to 8 inches, which in this case is the end of the windshield for my Mazda CX-7 where I'm sitting in right now. There are no built-in speakers, as I mentioned earlier, so you have to rely on your cell phone speakers. There is a built-in GPS, however. As for gestures, as I mentioned earlier, we were sold on gestures. I can tell you, folks, I haven't used gestures. They're a cool feature if you want to impress folks sitting in your car. Sure, you can do that, but they're not very practical. So this is the camera that picks on your gestures. I just sent myself a message again, so I'm gonna try to use gesture control to basically, okay, that's what you do. I don't want to look at it, so I moved it aside. What I find in terms of practicality when you're driving on a highway at 120, 130 kilometer an hour, you don't really want to take your hands off the steering wheel. So this is the control that you'll be using unless you want to impress someone sitting in your car with hand gestures. The software offers very basic functionality. There is a dashboard and there is a GPS. You cannot change colors. I have tried. You can't. They're in white. You have map options. You have main menu, and you have view glances. There are many other videos, so I'm not going to go into each one of these functionalities. My overall takeaway from this is that you're basically getting a glorified GPS which projects the map maybe 6 to 8 inches behind this little screen that you see. It looks really neat. Only the person sitting in the driver's seat can see it. Anybody sitting in the passenger seat or away from the screen cannot see what's on the screen. So it's very private. I don't know if that's worth anything, but that's basically what you're getting, high-end GPS. Of course, it has Bluetooth functionality. Of course, you can receive your phone calls, but I would argue that you can do it with many other devices, even with a very simple Bluetooth speaker that you can set up in your car. Now, gestures, as I was mentioning, they do work. I would not suggest you use gestures. Sometimes they're choppy. You have to wave your hand a few times to make them work. I personally don't find much use for gestures, but they're a cool feature nevertheless. There are no customized setting, and you don't see the screen hovering maybe 16 to 20 feet from you. That is not happening. It's only 6 to 8 inches. So while I had been waiting for my Navdy very patiently for the last few years, by the way, I purchased mine for $300 US during the Kickstarter campaign, so I'm comparing an alternative which falls in the same range and not $800 range. So while I had been waiting for my Navdy, I've been using this little guy here. So I have a 7-inch screen. I ordered it from I believe eBay. It was a couple of years ago. This is a customized dash which costed me about $300. It's based on Android, so I think it's an older version now, maybe 3 years old, so it's probably KitKat. So anything you get with your Android device, you get with this little gadget here. In addition to that, it came with a DVD player right there. I can play DVD. It has a built-in GPS. It has an SD card. It has navigation. And it has all these functionalities. Anything that you can do with your Android device, you can do with this thing. You can go to Google Chrome. You can do net surfing. You can watch YouTube. Of course, you do it when the car is parked. When the car is moving, the functionality is limited. You don't want to be driving your car and watching YouTube videos. And you can download all kind of cool devices. I have Film on Live, which gives you many TV channels that you can watch. You can do voice search. I have some apps such as WhatsApp, Torque. So in Navdy, you saw a little dash and dashboard that gives you your speed and whatnot. This little gadget does that and a lot more. So pretty much anything that Navdy is getting from the onboard computer, Tor gets the same information for you, and it's a free download, by the way. You get real-time information, and you have many interesting graphics you can do. This is not a review of Torque, so I'm not going to go into that. But I can show you, I have different schemes that I have set up here. So it looks much nicer than what Navdy has, and you get this for free, by the way. So I want to go out. Yes. I have Out Loud. This is an app that can read all my incoming messages out loud. I don't have to read my email. I don't have to read my text messages that are being received. Out Loud can read those for me. Again, it's a free download from the App Store. I have my calendar. I have my Play Store. I can go and pretty much download any app that I want. I also use Scanner. It's an interesting little toy. You can find out what's going on in the city around you, and this is what I use. So even though my little gadget here offers me a built-in navigation system right there, I press on it, it will take me to built-in navigation. I use Waze, which in my opinion is the best navigation tool available out there. Again, this is not a review of Waze, but you get live updates. You can find out where the traffic is, where the cops are, where the traffic lights are, where the traffic cameras are, where the nearest gas station is. You can even chat with the passengers of other vehicles around you, not with the driver. I don't suggest that. So this is basically a tool that I've been using. It's touch screen, very responsive. It also came with a little remote control, so if another passenger wants to use this gadget from behind me, they can do that. It's 3G enabled, Bluetooth, you can answer phones. It's connected to my car stereo sound system, so built-in speaker, very loud. I can control the volume right off the steering here. In fact, the built-in these little control, as you can see the color peeling off, that's because I've been using those built-in buttons to control my dash here. Whereas with Navdy, unfortunately, they don't have the capacity to use the existing controls, so for that they had to give you this little strap-on control that you have to attach to your steering, which does the job pretty well, but stands out like a sore thumb. I mean, I shouldn't be saying that. It is very nice and firm. I like it, but it stands out. Whereas with this toy here, I am using built-in controls right here. So this is really what you're getting. So here's the comparison one more time. You can zoom in, zoom out using the steering control on Navdy, or you can go to Waze and use pinch right there. Very responsive, very neat. I can move it anywhere I want. It's right there on my dash. My passengers can see that. They can guide me, they can help me out. I know exactly what's happening. And when I get notification, if I have a text, if I have an email, if I'm using one, even on Twitter and Facebook, I get, if I want to hear those, I hear those notifications using Out Loud right there. It's a free app. So I'm going to go back to my home screen. Make sure. Close that. So on this toy right here, I spent about $300 US when I got it a few years ago, two and a half years ago. The latest gadget is now probably available using the latest Android software. And on this gadget, I spent also $300 and change, and I had to pay $100 Canadian, by the way. I had to import it in Canada. So that was about $100 in addition to what I had paid. It looks neat. Only the driver can see it. I will not complain about it. Unfortunately, for all practical reasons, I will be using Waze on my dash here, despite having the latest Navdy, because I find that Waze serves me well. I go on long drives, I commute a lot, and I find that my dashboard has served me well, continue to serve well, unless Navdy makes some drastic changes to their software. For me, the best the best feature, the best potential feature of this product when they were doing their Kickstart campaign was the ability to keep your eyes on the road, to keep your eyes on the car ahead of you, and not having to take your eyes off the road to glance over here. Unfortunately, you still have to zoom in and out like this. Of course, I can't mimic your eyes, but this is basically what you're doing. Zooming out to see 20 feet ahead and zooming in to see what's on your Navdy. So the verdict, folks, $800, I find it's too much money. It's a very good piece of equipment, but I would not be buying it for $800. $300, still you have competition which is not exactly the same, but which gives you a lot more. It's a lot more practical. It blends well with the car, as you can see. Even though this is off market, it blends very nicely. They manufacture these things based on the make and model of your car, so this one was built specifically for this car. It serves me well. It goes well beyond Navdy, and I can use these controls. Of course, this thing does not have gestures, but it has built-in 3G, it has built-in speaker, it even has built-in microphone right there. This one is a separate microphone, but it does have a built-in microphone right there. Unfortunately, Navdy does not have a microphone. Navdy does not have speakers. This thing uses car's speakers. It has built-in amplifier. It has anything you can ask for. So I'm going to stop my review right here. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned, you can also use voice search here. Unfortunately, you cannot do it with your hardware here. You can definitely do it using your cell phone. You can do voice search, but Navdy hardware and software don't offer that. You have to have your phone. With this gadget here, you don't have to have your phone. Well, I guess that's why you're buying Navdy, because you want to be able to use your phone. This thing right here connects to your phone as well. So at the end of the day, if I had a choice, if I were to go back in time, and if I were given two choices, knowing what I know now, I would pick this over this right here. $300 and change, $300 and change. $800, I think it's a little bit too much money. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, don't forget to mention that in the video. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask.